You start with one task, they become very proficient at that task, then it's like you slowly add on to it. You have to think of your time as a non-renewable resource.
And what are you doing to ensure that they're like properly trained to be able to not fuck up?
How to hire a $5 per hour VA and scale your business with significantly less time, essentially buying back your time. You guys are going to get to a point where you're going to be super busy. You're going to be focused on super important things that are actually moving the business. And there's also things that you're just not going to like doing that you can offload to, which is just going to give you more mental bandwidth and emotional bandwidth. But I am super excited to jump into this because hiring a VA was one of the first hires I did that really moved the needle in my business. And it was something I wish I did a long, long time ago. What is a virtual assistant? I'm sure most of you guys know, but to give you a quick insight, usually it's someone overseas but has fantastic skills, not super expensive, but also very effective for your business. And a lot of the time, they're going to be more proficient in areas than you or I would be. And they're probably going to be way more like stoked to do these menial tasks and become really good. Like they'll find systems around menial tasks that you didn't even know like you could find systems around, which is great because then it allows you to have a more efficient machine in your business. You have to think of your time as, a non-renewable resource, right? So if you actually think about how much time you're spending every single day on tasks that are low tier tasks or things that aren't super effective or things that aren't really moving the needle, it's a lot of energy put towards that stuff, but also it's a lot of time that you're never going to get back that could probably be spent doing things that are a lot more effective. Most of you are only going to have X amount of time to put into your business a week if you're not doing it full time. Even if you're doing it full time, you're probably finding yourself doing random things and not being super productive or as productive that as you can be. So if you're anything like me, I'm a productivity freak. If I'm not being productive with my time and efficient with my time, and I feel like I'm just not producing, right? Or I'm not doing things that are moving the needle in my business, that gives me like anxiety, right? And then it takes a lot of like emotional regulation and emotional like bandwidth from my business where I want to be able to do things like this, where I can put in a lot of energy into like a mastermind, right? And put in like time to build out slides and build out great content for you guys and keep doing value. So none of that would be possible if I'm doing like really low menial tasks that are taking away that energy. So it's super important like that you want that as you start to scale, you offload low tier tasks as soon as possible. Most of you in this room right now are probably ready at the very least for a part-time VA. And then as you go, you can, move towards a full-time VA. The nice thing also is that it takes the emotion out of not wanting to do the tasks, right? It's like when there's certain tasks in your business, it's just like, I don't feel like doing this. You're emotional about it. Even if you don't know it, it takes away from that mental bandwidth that you have. Or even like decision making. Every little decision, slowly you start to get fatigued a little bit. So it's really about protecting your energy. And when it's like a $5 per hour type of hire, and even if you outsource an hour a day, it's worth it to pay $5 to get an hour of mental bandwidth and energy back into yourself. Even if that means you're taking that hour just to like relax and spend time with your family, because that's what we're doing here as a business. We didn't come here to build another 9 to 5 that we hate, right? We want to actually enjoy what we're doing. So even if that means that you take that extra hour, you buy back your time and go back, hang out with your family and things like that, it recharges you so that way you show up better in your business when you are working on your business. Okay. That's how I look at it. Maureen is my assistant right now. So she's been working with me for almost 3 years and has been an absolute lifesaver. So the one thing that I do directly correlate is that when Maureen came on, I was at 100K per month. Currently, we are now over 300K per month and growing. And the cool thing is that when Maureen came on, she helped me build all these like systems and things like that. But I think if I'm looking back more than anything, she gave me time to build bought back like 40 hours a week that I could put back into building the business, focusing on creating a 7-figure sales team, focusing on hiring more A player closers, right? building an 8-player team, right? Fulfillment team, whatever it is. So the cool thing is like Maureen is literally integrated into my business. Everyone on the team has interacted with her. They all love her. And she's like a beast. Like she is like pure operations beast. Tyler, you're on my team. Like I'm sure you probably have interacted with Maureen. She's a beast.
Echo.
She's on top of it.
So it's a really powerful hire. And yeah, I can't even fathom what the actual ROI is, but I just know it's like an insane ROI. So some of the things she does, she handles all my emails, my calendar management, helps out with my travel, and like literally will book in my golf tee times at the golf course that I'm a member at. So it's like I don't have to think about anything. Like literally, I can just show up and do what I need to do and basically focus on what I want to focus on, which is great. He does all the menial tasks as well on top of that for my team. So that way my team can be in their zone of genius. So for example, she'll do all the manual follow-ups in the DMs for the setters. So that way the setters don't even have to worry about following up. All they need to do is respond really, really quick and start new conversations. She responds to customer support emails. So that way I'm not in my inbox, like worrying about that at all. And like mentally worried about like, oh, if I have someone who's like, emailing us, like I have to be on top of that. Like she just handles that. Deals with accounts receivables, right? It's like we have to watch our money, right? We have to watch money coming in, money coming out. She does all of that, all the bookkeeping. She's the liaison with my accountants. Who loves taxes? No one likes taxes, right? Like, if I can offload as much of that as possible, then I've effectively bought back my time, but also my mental bandwidth, which is to me more important because the mental bandwidth allows you to show up in your business and go hard. Richard, I wish up in Canada we had the tax loopholes you guys have down there, or else I'd be asking the same question. What's taxes? So yeah, so she came on when we were at 100K a month. Now we're doing at 300K a month. So my honest regret was that my biggest regret is that I just didn't hire her sooner. Like I don't know why I waited so long to get a VA. So does anyone have a VA right now? Tyler, Haley?
I know Richard does too.
Yeah. I do.
Yeah. Have they been like game changer for your guys' business?
Just for prospecting alone, which is a lot of what mine's doing, like absolute game changer.
Beautiful.
Yeah, life changing.
Yeah, Rochelle as well. Awesome. So like, yeah. And we'll go over like, how to structure it and everything. But I mean, it's even important, like you start to get them to automate certain tasks in your personal life. It is so nice to essentially have an executive assistant, to even like booking travel. I freaking hate booking flights, right? So it's like, if you can offload that, it's great. If you can offload any menial tasks and just buy back your time so you can focus on the main task, like it's going to grow your business exponentially. It's huge. Yeah, like Richard said, if it's repeatable, delegate it. So I want to go through like the SOP on how I hired Maureen. And basically, she was like one of the first hires and just ended up working out incredibly well. So we'll walk through this, and this is effectively like the same SOP that I've used to not only hire like setters and things like that, but even to build out my whole sales team was through utilizing this SOP. And my sales team is a 7-figure sales team, right? So this SOP works incredibly well to filter out people who aren't serious and people who are actually like aligned with what you're doing and the goals. But even a hire as small as a VA, you should take super seriously, because that VA can literally like change the course of your business. I know it's like, sounds insane, but it's true. So the whole SOP essentially is to first identify how many hours you want to buy back, then use Upwork and create a job post with my job template, which I'm going to give you guys. Then you're going to use a video filter. then a meeting filter, then a second meeting filter, trial run, and then an official offer. So it's a long drawn out process, but it's intentional. Because if you intentionally make it long and lots of hoops to jump through and more friction, by the time they get to an official offer, that person, you already know by step 5, before they even come on for a trial, that they're probably going to be the one that you're going to offer to anyways. But we don't want to do it off of suspicion. We want to like actually, add some loops so that way they have to jump through them to confirm, because once you make this hire, you want to keep them for as long as possible, right? I don't think it's very common like VAs will stick with one specific business, and you're going to retain that person for years. Like a lot of the time they're hopping around, and I'm not about that. I want my team to grow with me. I want to build my team together. So that's super important to me, right? And same thing even with like my sales team, right? I've had a number of my sales reps for a long time. Dave, my sales manager, coming up to like 3.5 years, almost 4 years now. He's been working with me and like runs my team there, does all like that stuff. And it was the same process of kind of going through this that allowed me to find these people. So it's super powerful. And all that to say, just don't take any shortcuts, because if you do take a shortcut, it means you like wasting time and money. And I don't think any of us like wasting time and money. So number 1 is identify how many hours you want to buy back. So basically, look at your business right now and how many hours per week you're roughly working on your business. I'd say 50 to 60% of it is probably wasted on typical menial tasks, not being productive and things like that. So let's say you're putting in 15 to 20 hours a week right now. You're probably wasting 10 to 12 of those hours of your time on these menial tasks that are taking away your mental and emotional bandwidth. On average, a VA is typically $5 an hour. So to buy back 10 hours a week, you're looking at $50 a week, right? So if that allows you to focus more time on your sales calls, prospecting, client retention, you'll easily 100x your ROI just from this one hire alone. But if you can see and identify like what you're doing every single week, I would say your first step would probably be to hire like a VA for 50% of that time. At the very least, even an hour or two a day, no matter where you're at, is a great investment. And that's the best part. You can hire part-time VA at the beginning too. They don't have to be a full-time hire. I think for me, like, that's why I was like, it took me so long, because I was like scared, like, oh, I can't give this person like a full 40 hours a week and all this stuff. Like VAs are more than happy to start part-time. They just want a shot. So I think that's really important to understand. It's like, you don't have to be like a huge business or anything like that. You don't have to be able to provide 40 hours right now, because it will get to the point where it's like they're going to help you grow, that they will be full-time at some point. All right, cool. Number 2, use Upwork to create a job post. I've tried majority of the hiring sites out there. Upwork, I find, is the best. So that's where I found Maureen, and I was lucky enough that she worked at another company for 6 years prior to that. And she just happened to be looking for another role. And I, was able to interview her, but I found her on Upwork, and what she was doing like these, little kind of like side gigs, you would say. And I could just see all the reviews were like really good on her. So it allows you to kind of like screen, like, just based off of that, based on like, stuff they've done, projects they've done in the past, which is really good. But also it's just like such a volume thing on Upwork too. It's such a big platform that like, if you put up a post, you're going to get hundreds of applicants. Okay. So this was my exact post. And you can use the exact same one. I've tried like way longer posts and things like that. And I just don't find like I don't find that they've helped really to like make a super crazy detailed post. Like most of that stuff is going to get filtered out in the video process. So what you really want to do is like think about your post as like almost like a 2-step post. Like what's going to get what you need done across, but also be enticing enough that like people actually want to like apply as well. I just kept it super simple. So I own an online marketing company, basically looking for some help in day-to-day operations. I'm in need of someone who can help me do all these things. This will likely be 20 to 30 hours a week to start during December, but looking to bring someone on full-time by January 3rd, 2021. Please send a resume and attach a video. This part is probably the most important part. You're going to filter out a ton of people because I'd say like majority of them aren't going to send you a video. And that's just saved you like a ton of hours sifting through resumes. Okay. But as soon as you put this up, you're literally going to get like hundreds of applicants. So it's great. Hundreds of applicants are really awesome. But you're going to need to filter out like which ones do you actually want to like focus on. So of the ones that you actually want to look at that actually attach a video, you're probably going to get like 35 to 50% of them actually attach a video. So you're probably going to get rid of like 50 to 60% of these resumes right out the gate. And that's already a loophole in itself. I've tested hiring without a video and it's just significantly worse. You just waste so much time. So if you're gonna like get on interviews with someone, like it's just better to have like some sort of idea first. So with that being said, this is gonna get rid of like a lot of tire kickers, but watch each video and look for like just look for the main things, right? Like professionalism, the effort that they put into the video, the quality of the responses. Like are they just giving like one word answers or like pretty like basic responses, or can you actually tell like they're actually thinking about their responses and putting some effort into it? And the other thing too, which I think like we tend to forget is, I don't know why, but normally our gut instinct is correct. So you'll know pretty much off that first impression based on the video, you'll either have a good feeling or not. And like you just want to go off of your gut instinct. I think like if you have a good feeling about this person, great, give them an interview. If you resonate with them, something with their video like gave you great vibes, give them an interview, right? If something's just a little bit off and you're just like, I can like maybe see myself working with them, but probably not, like it's fine. Just don't give them an interview, right? You don't need to waste your time on that and just move on. You're not here to like force a position. Like there's so many. Like you're gonna have so many videos and abundance of like people applying that you want to be picky. All right. The next thing is you're gonna choose the top 10 videos and reach out to them to schedule an interview. Do this like you might not have 100% set rate of meetings, so you might need to like you might need to send out and reach out to like 15 people to set 10 meetings. But what you want to do is have 10 meetings set. All right. So you probably want to actually end up choosing like your top 15 videos and then choose and then reach out to all of them and then realistically come out with 10 interviews. All right. Of those 10 interviews, 2 right off the bat are just not going to show. Leaves you with 8 good interviews. So this is going to be your first initial interview. Going to be about 20 to 30 minutes, nothing crazy, but you just want to ask like pretty much just straightforward questions like, why do you think you'd be a good fit for my company? What type of experience do you have? Are you currently working for a company? Why do you want to leave that company? Tell me about your experience. How do you stay organized? How do you communicate? Like things that are important to you. Like for me, if someone doesn't respond to me quickly, that's like a pet peeve of mine. So like my team responds to me like usually before like I can even get off the message, I'll have a response. Maureen, I can message any time of the day and say I need this, and it's like it's done within like 5 minutes, right? So like stuff like that's important to me. So communicate that. It's almost like expectation setting in a way, but you're asking it in questions to figure out, okay, does this person have what I need in my business, right? Because the last thing you want is to make a hire where it's like something like that, where let's say it really pisses me off if someone doesn't respond to me very quickly, right? And I hire a VA and they're like impossible to get a hold of. Guess what? That's mental and emotional energy I'm going to be used towards like getting mad at this thing versus just like not hiring that in the first place, right? So this is supposed to make your life easier. So be picky about what you're looking for, right? It's very important to be like, to be picky about this stuff. I don't know how to any way else to put it. So I ask things like that And I'll set that expectation very clear, because if they respond well to it, great. We're going to have another conversation. If they don't respond well to it, then we're not going to have another conversation. So of the 8 that you take, only 2 to 3 of them you're going to resonate with and really like and actually see yourself potentially working with. Okay. And then of those 2 or 3, you're going to set a second meeting with the ones you like. And as a side note, do not be scared to end these meetings early if you don't like what you're hearing. I have ended so many of these meetings like within the first minute, because it's just like, I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste your time. I think just based off what we're talking about right now, it's not going to be a good fit. Wish you all the best. Move on. It's fine. Like, don't force a 20, 30-minute conversation. All right. Cool. So let's take a pause here. Any questions so far?
Yeah, I have a quick question. I definitely am ready for a VA. I think I'd do it today if I saw saw the right person. Do you know if there's like organizations where VAs, work for whatever, I don't know, some sort of like organization, for example, in Indonesia, where they're like have like VAs that are like already vetted and trusted that we can go to, or do you think that the Upwork process is really the best go-to for finding people you can trust and stuff like that?
Yeah. So either you can hire like VA placements, which they charge a shit ton of money for,
Okay.
or they do like a monthly recurring revenue where it's like $1,000 a month for unlimited VAs, and they'll help staff your whole team. But as soon as you stop paying that $1,000 a month, they take that whole team away from you.
I see.
So all in all, just do it in-house. Yeah, like Richard said, don't use agencies. Just
I
try.
would, I would even go a step further on your filtering. Filter pretty hard for that, which you can talk more about that. I turn off the agency button on there and only go for freelancers, because what some people do is they have an account, but they really have agencies under them. So it feels to me, and I'm not trying to be rude, like a bait and switch on there.
Mm,
You know what I mean? So I turn that filter off. I only work with dedicated freelancers.
that's a great tip. Yeah,
hmm
absolutely.
Just so that I can kind of manage my time and expectations for something like this. I understand that you said like right away you can kind of get like, hundreds of messages or whatever. How long do you think this whole filtering process takes? About a week or so to find a hire, or
Yeah.
months?
Yeah,
Okay.
you can generally get a hire, I'd say, within a week.
Okay, cool. That's
Yeah.
good to know.
You just got to be efficient with your time. Like, it's like a task you'd have to put like
Yeah, of
you have
course.
time for, right? So
Right.
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
solid. Any other questions before we move on? Cool. All right. The second meeting filter. So after you book your 2 to 3, what you're gonna do is basically set your second meeting. Of the meetings you set, you're probably gonna have 100% show rate. Very unlikely for them to no show you. If they do no show you, obviously they've just, given up the job, so it saves you time anyways. But basically, in this meeting, you're going to ask more clarification questions based on the answers they have given you in the previous interview. So this is for me to basically do I call it my checks and balances, right? So it's like, if they told me something in interview 1, I'm going to try to bring it up in interview 2 again, just to see if it's congruent, right? So that way I know if they're not lying, or if they're, kind of like, you can just kind of catch someone, because I want someone who's like, legitimately on top of it. So like, for example, if they told you a story, get them to tell you the story again and make sure it aligns with what they said in the first interview. Does it make sense? Or is there any follow-up questions you have to it? Did they tell the same story, or did they tell you a completely different story? Look for red flags, essentially, is what you're trying to suss out. And then clarify any additional follow-up questions that you have, because it's very likely, if you're considering hiring them, you're in that between that first and second interview, you've been thinking about it, and you've been thinking about other questions that arise, like, like, this person ended up working there for 4 years. I didn't get a chance to ask them, but like, I actually am really curious as to what is really driving them to make that change now. So it's like, that would be a great clarifying question to ask. So those are super important. I always also like to ask them, like, why should I choose them and hire them instead of like the 2 or 3 other VAs I'm thinking about? and what makes them different and why I should basically pick them. And then by this point, by the end of these interviews, you're going to know already who you want to hire at this point. But another touch point essentially just reaffirms it, which your next touch point is going to be, a trial run, right? And you can even hire like 2 or even 3 VAs if you want, and essentially just tell them like you're each on a trial run and you have to earn the position if you want me to give you an offer. So it's like I'm going to give you each a task and see who does it the best, right? Or I'm going to give you 7 days and see who does it the best. And out of you guys, I'm going to choose one to stay on, right? So then it's like they're competing for the role and they're going to work hard for that role. And then by the time it's all said and done, oh man, you're going to have a great hire.
Is that a paid trial run or is that a free trial run?
Yeah, usually a paid trial run. I'll pay them.
You introduce each other, like all the VAs for that, or you kind of just were like, oh yeah, there's other people there.
I don't introduce them. This is just like separate. I tell them they're aware that they're competing for the role, but like it's just a private conversation where I'm giving them a task or something like that. Any other questions?
That's so Zuckerberg of you,
dude. Well, what are you gonna do? Dog eat dog world. All right. And then the trial run, right? So what I did is I always did like either a task or like a 7-day trial. So, and the 7-day trial would be like, an hour to 2 hours a day of like very simple tasks. So it would be like Facebook outreach or IGDM outreach or, managing simple admin tasks or like one-off projects. Right. So one of the things like I got Maureen to do right off the gate was like send our clients little gifts like that we'd order on Amazon. So I'd see if like how quickly she would complete those, how diligently she would do that, and how much communication she would stay with me and things like that. And she just over delivered, which is why I hired her. Like so she had like a whole screen recording, sent me exactly minute by minute what she was doing, tracked and logged every simple task that she did. And sent me, a whole like breakdown of it every single day. And she still does that to this day. Like I can literally go in, we have a whole management system where like I can literally go in at any point in time and see exactly what she's done for the day. And then she sends me basically a recap every single day as well. So I know exactly what she's completed and, and if she's on top of it and stuff like that. So those are the things you're kind of looking for when they're working for you. It's also very important to make sure that they understand the job is theirs to earn, right? So this is your money, your time, your business that you're investing into. So it's important that they show up 100% as much as as much as you show up essentially. That's pretty much it, guys. In terms of that, then it's going into the official job offer. So the official job offer is then basically just offering them a position on your team. And my tip to you guys is treat your VA as important as any other role you would hire for. Like I said, my whole team literally praises Maureen, and like my team wouldn't function without Maureen. So we started her at, $5 an hour, but we've since gone on to pay her more. Right. So I pay her about $10 an hour now. Plus I give her bonuses and stuff like that all the time. Just no questions asked because she's just such an integral part of our team. And I've seen her life change. Her husband is literally doesn't work, stay at home dad with the 4 kids. She works in the evenings in our time zone and then like literally gets to spend all her time, with her family and stuff. But also she's like, been able to really provide a great lifestyle. And that feels really cool. Not crazy amounts of money for us, but it's like a huge impact for them. So give them whatever they need to succeed because at this point, they've earned their role with you. They've gone through a lot of hoops, right? So basically, once they get to this point, treat them like a team member that you want to succeed, you want to have long term. Don't just treat them like other companies do, which is just like a VA and, doesn't communicate with them and things like that, right? And doesn't give them the tools to succeed, doesn't train them, doesn't spend time with them. Like treat them like an A player. right? That's my goal, to help Maureen grow, and she's grown, and she's a beast now. So it's a win-win. They help you grow, you help them grow, and then you're changing their life, which is a really great feeling at the end of the day. And the right hire is going to make you a ton of money, right? So don't take shortcuts, even though the process may seem tedious. Right hire will allow you to 2 to 5x your business instantly, but over time will 50 to 100x your time, energy, and financials. Use the same process to hire any other team member. I use this to hire my sales team. Even if you don't think you need a VA right now, you probably do. So you should probably just take action on this ASAP and hire a VA. And people charge thousands to place a VA. Highly recommend against this. Just use this process that I taught you, and you're going to be much happier at the end of the day. So that's pretty much it. Let's jump into some questions on this section before we jump into the next thing.
I have a quick one. What does the training process look like when you've hired a new VA? How long is that training process, and what are you doing to ensure that they're like properly trained to be able to, not fuck up?
Yeah, I mean, it's always ongoing, right? So it's like,
Okay.
because it's, you start with one task, they become very proficient at that task, then it's like you slowly add on to it. So it's always evolved. I mean, for me now, like Maureen is so good that I just send her a Loom video. I'll do the task once, send her a Loom video, and then she'll just know how to do that task.
That's
And I
great.
never have to ask again. So it's like,
So even like educating them on like how to prospect, like send messages on Facebook and stuff, like that's part of the process then too.
yeah, like that you're gonna have to spend more time on with them until it's just like at a proficient point. So that could be like a week, maybe, of like doing an hour a day plus doing like reviews of our conversations every single day, for example. Or you have it like in such a tight SOP that they know exactly what to do that, you just have to tell them once.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. Does she work in the middle of in the night? Yeah, she does. Like it's a super common thing in the Philippines. You just work at night. The management, I don't even know what it is. Funny enough, Maureen set it up. I don't even know what it is. So I just know if I ever feel like looking into it, I can.
I think it's funny that you ran through how you do the trials because I think mine's too complex, right? Because I do 1 week paid trial, 4 hours a day, right? For that, and it says, they've already gone through all the steps, so they get to that point, right? But I also tell them, hey, up front, you're hired as more like a consultant for a process to make sure our process is dialed in before actually doing it, and there's no training provided on there. Is it something that you're wanting to do? Because then you separate like the people that come in there saying, all right, teach me everything. I don't know anything. And you get some people like, oh, dude, your process sucks. I would do X, Y, Z better. You know what I mean? And so those people are cool. You also see how much they communicate with you. And then you also get to understand if you like how they report back on feedback. Because I get some people that just say yes to everything I do, right, from a culture perspective. And I get some people that says, hey, did you actually run this prospecting message? Because I don't think it would work. I'd rather run this. Can I run this instead? I'm like, yeah, you can run that instead. Cool for it, And it's $100, I mean, $5 an hour times 20 hours for 1 week. And you're also not bugging them to tell them when to report. And so if they're super proactive, you're like, yeah, I want to keep this person. But it's 1 week paid trial. So if it doesn't work out, you can cut off early if they definitely suck, but you'll find out by that point.
Exactly. It's so worth it. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I always kept my trials a little more simpler than that, but whatever works.
How do you cover the payments? Do you just like do PayPal or what's the normal?
I use Wise.
Wise. Okay, cool.
Is that helpful for you guys? Makes sense?
Do you
Super,
care about
yeah.
time tracking or just let it be?
I did at the beginning. I think it's like an accountability piece where it's like, if I like out of the blue ask for time tracking, it should be able to be pulled up. So that way they're just like constantly, they just know they can't like screw around at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care about it personally, but on the offshoot, I mean, it's just an accountability thing.
Yeah, I've also realized it had to be important to tell them about battery backups or ask if they have one. Because I had some that I would hire. They did really great throughout the whole entire process. And then like there was always a service interruption. There was this, there was that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd like, hey, send me the link to the website, right? Where you're actually seeing this, because they were just screenshotting it over, and I was like, scammers.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. 100%. It's funny. Maureen has a bunch of battery backups, and she like one time she showed up and she's like, yeah, it's currently flooding in the city, and I think we're going through a hurricane right now. What task should I be doing? I'm like, I'm like, evacuate. Like, you're fine. It's hilarious. Cool.
Can I ask one quick question about the time tracking thing? So
Yep.
what should I be like tracking the majority of the time? Kind of just like on Excel sheet, be like, hey, so what's some things, for this hour I want to get this completed? Can you
Yeah. I'll
help
have
me
to
out?
look into the software. I know like Maureen set up some sort of software where it like just screen grabs every second of what she's doing.
Hmm.
Um, and then she'll go in manually, and like anytime she switches tasks, she'll just put like what she was doing or not.
Hmm.
But she just like tracks everything she's doing.